Hi there guys, welcome to BoxPred and thank you for tuning in. Following recent fights, I just want to give my brief opinion, my basic opinion on a potential matchup between Saul Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. Since this fight became a potential matchup, I've always felt that it's an extremely competitive fight in the ring. And let's just put the politics surrounding the fight aside for now. Let's just look at why I think this fight, really needs to be made and why it's an intriguing fight in the ring and why I think it's competitive. Firstly, why do I give Saul Alvarez? Why do I think he's competitive in this fight? Well, I think the one thing he really brings to the table is, in relation to Golovkin's other recent opponents, is his size. But not only his size, but he fights big. He fights solidly. He's a solid presence in the ring. He's stocky. He's kind of one of those type of immovable object type fighters, much in the same vein as Golovkin. And I think that that's something he brings to the table that other Golovkin opponents haven't. They've all, in recent times anyway, they've all been kind of weaker fighters, if I can say that, in that they're not being solid. Sometimes you watch a boxer in the ring and he just looks like he's got meat behind him. He looks comfortable, just stood there, and he's comfortable with his feet. And I think with Golovkin's, the majority of Golovkin's recent opponents, they've not been like that. They've been a bit flittery on their feet. They've looked beaten before they get in the ring, and they just look like they're waiting to be caught with this shot, this power that everyone's talking about. And I think that Alvarez can bring, a sturdier unit to the table to present Golovkin with something that's more difficult to break down, and also something that has real potential in offense and that can really test Golovkin in terms of bringing something to the table that Golovkin's not really had to deal with before. I've also always felt, since this fight was a potential matchup, that Alvarez would be able to land on Golovkin, particularly with straight shots. And the fight against Kell Brook really cemented that for me, because I feel that Kell Brook was able to bring the speed, he was able to bring the will and the desire and the technique to be able to go after Golovkin. Something that Kell Brook did really well, I was really happy that he did, was he really took the fight to Golovkin at points. He showed great courage and he had some success. Now, despite the fact that Golovkin after the fight said he didn't really feel Brook's power, you have to say that Golovkin did have some marks on his face from where Kell had caught him. So when I came away from watching that fight, the main thing I took from that was, what if Kell Brook had true middleweight power that Golovkin said he didn't have? What if he was able to... It kind of speaks to me that Golovkin was saying he's been hit with harder, but from what I've seen, I don't think he's been hit with more accurate or cleaner shots than that, with more powerful guys. And there is a guy who I believe can do both. I believe he can land like Brook landed, but he can land with more conviction and more power, and that's Saul Alvarez. I think he is the guy that can do that. And what will be interesting then is to see how Golovkin reacts. It looks like he's got a great chin, but if he does get hit by Canelo, who has great punch conviction and real power, then what happens? And that's why, what happens if he manages to push Golovkin back? We see Golovkin on the back foot. We don't often see that. How does he react? Is he able to maintain form? Is he able to look as good going back as he does come forward? So that's why I think Saul Alvarez is competitive in this fight. Now let's look at why Golovkin is competitive. Well, it's quite obvious. I mean, Golovkin is relentless. He's like Vasyl Lomachenko. He just keeps coming. He doesn't sit back and admire his own work. If he catches you, he's looking to finish you. If he gets some success and he doesn't necessarily hurt you, he looks to immediately change the angle and keep the pressure on and catch you from a different angle and accumulate those punches. He's not looking to catch one or two shots and then stand back and say, "Oh wow, that was a good bit of work for myself." You watch him fight, you watch Lomachenko fight, the way they change angles is brilliant. And he's got so many tricks up his sleeve that he's able to really break guys down. you watch Golovkin cut off the ring, it's like a masterclass in cutting off the ring. It's not just a great lateral movement. He's not just using his rook on the chessboard. He's using them all. He's using the bishop for the diagonal movement. He's cutting off the ring in an extremely effective way. And that's why it's so difficult for guys to escape him. And the vulnerability here for Alvarez is that Alvarez, and this is a criticism that has been leveled at him throughout his career, is that he takes breaks. He does the Bernard Hopkins thing, only he's a young man and Bernard Hopkins is 40 odd, almost 50. So you can understand Hopkins taking breaks, but Alvarez takes breaks, and it will work against him against a guy like Golovkin. Because Golovkin is going to be the guy who's putting on all the pressure, he's looking like he's doing the busier work, and there's that concern that why does Alvarez take the breaks? Something I've noticed with Alvarez, I don't think he doesn't like being smothered. I mean, who does? But I mean, he really looks a bit vulnerable when he's smothered. Even against Smith the other night, Smith, who had no real threat to him, he was able to get Canelo on the ropes. He was able to land good shots on Canelo at times. If Golovkin gets Canelo back on the ropes like that, then it's going to be bad times for Canelo. Now the question is, was Canelo just sitting back on the ropes because he didn't feel there was a threat? Will he do that against Golovkin? Well, the likelihood is no, he wouldn't just sit back on the ropes. But then there's that question: would he? Would he be pushed back to the point where he's going to just take the ropes? He's going to get himself into a bad situation. So they're the main dynamics. And like I said, I don't want to go on with this video, but they're the main dynamics I've been thinking about, for months now. Since this fight became a real potential fight, I've always felt it was competitive, and I felt that Alvarez definitely has something new to bring to the table, definitely something more dangerous to bring to the table for Golovkin. I think he's the type of guy who's able to expose what I see as a vulnerability in Golovkin's defense, that he is there to be hit, and he sometimes that pride comes out, that he doesn't defend himself as well as he should be. Sometimes he drops his hands. They're no-nos against a guy who can punch with the speed, conviction, accuracy, and power that Alvarez can. Particularly, a guy in Alvarez who is a truer middleweight, who's going to be a real force in the ring with Golovkin. But on the other hand, I feel like if you're looking at the fight styles and the way they're going to merge and gel, I think that Golovkin has the upper hand in this one at the moment, from my perspective. I would go with Golovkin because I think that he has the busier output. I think he's going to be the guy who's looking to put pressure on, and I think while he may get into trouble with taking some shots from Canelo, it seems like he's got a good chin, and I think that even if he's not able to get to Canelo and end the fight, I think that if it goes the distance, then it's going to favour Golovkin on points, because, like I said, he's going to be just having too much output. If Alvarez is going to insist on this habit of taking breaks, which Golovkin doesn't do, he's just relentless, then I think it's all in favour of Golovkin from that viewpoint. But the danger is always there that Canelo can land with some clean punches and hurt Golovkin, or if not hurt him to the point where he's able to end the fight, at least gain an upper hand and a bit of momentum and push Golovkin back and really test him from a different standpoint we've not seen in recent times with guys against Golovkin, or probably ever against Golovkin. So, both of these guys, I don't sit in either camp. I really enjoy watching both fighters. I rate both fighters as elite fighters, and that's why I really want to see the fight made. I think it will be great. Really competitive. But, you've got to love a guy, just a quick mention, you've got to love a guy like Golovkin and the guys like Lomachenko. They really just want to put on offensive exhibitions. They really want to fight. We've seen the opposite end of things with Floyd Mayweather, and while I can fully respect that, in recent times, I've come to this. I'm starting to favour guys who kind of take it to the opposition a bit more. They're trying to make something of the fight. They're trying to make. They don't mind getting hit if they're gonna get the other guy. And even perhaps in Golovkin's case, don't get hit and hit the other guy. I feel like my taste is widening. I'm coming around to these more to these types of fighters who show skill in an equal level of skill, but in a different way. So we're approaching 10 minutes. They're my thoughts on this fight, guys. At the moment, I favour Golovkin, but I think it's a really competitive fight, one which I really would like to see. It looks like it's not going to happen this year because my understanding is that Canelo fractured his thumb or something in the Smith fight and won't be fighting again this year. But let's hope next year is the year for it to happen. But they're my initial thoughts. I just thought I should chime in with them since it's such a popular topic. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and thanks for watching, and let me know what your thoughts are on that potential fight. This is BoxPred, and I'm out.